Xbox and Microsoft fucking stepped in it yesterday hard. And I thought that we were going to be able to come on the podcast today and just literally tear them a new asshole. Like, I was so ready for it. But then something happened. There was gamer outrage, as it's often called by the journalists, by the
toxic gamer outrage that never helps.
Right, never helps. Although it's almost like when you make your voice heard, it can have change. It can mean that something changes. That's exactly what we saw. Mark, can you kind of lay out this situation for us, what Xbox was doing, and then how they backtracked?
All right, so they released a statement to, I believe, a publication called Xbox Wire, seemed to be the one that was reporting it the most, that Xbox Live Gold subscriptions, not to be confused with Game Pass, were increasing by $1 a month, which really doesn't sound overly bad if you're thinking, okay, that's an extra $12 a year. But what you got to kind of factor in is that 1 month card, like a 1 month subscription, is much more expensive than a 3 month card, which is much more expensive than a 12-month card. And for the same price that 1 year used to be, you can now renew for 6 months. So effectively, it meant that in order to access half of the features of a game that you've already played for, if it's a game that has single play paid for, if it's a game that has a single player mode and a multiplayer mode, you would have to be paying an additional $120 a year to access part of a game you own, which is horrendously stupid. They thought that they were doing a mea culpa or like kind of a like, hey, but don't worry about it. That from in some of the more kind of normie tier Facebook gaming groups that I keep an eye on, people were defending, being like, oh, well, it doesn't affect me because they said that as long as I keep renewing my subscription, I keep paying the same price. But for anyone that was debating between a PS5 and a Series X that might say just play Call of Duty or just play FIFA, like they don't play a whole lot of games, but they like playing games online with their friends, they'd have to decide, okay, am I going to be paying an extra $120 a year in order to play the $160 game I'm going to buy every year? So it was a really, really dumb move. But at around midnight, I think, or something last night, it was after midnight that I noticed, the marketing manager, I forget the guy's name, Aaron Greenberg, I think, basically tweeted saying, yeah, we're not doing that. We heard you guys, prices aren't going up, and we're now no longer requiring an Xbox Live Gold subscription for free-to-play games. So
yeah, so and like let's get it straight. The reason they did this was to try to force more people into Game Pass. Yeah. That's very much the way that everyone understands it, because with Game Pass, you do get Xbox Live Gold included in that. So they were raising that to make it more, to incentivize people to just go ahead and make the move to get Game Pass. Yeah. And it blew up in their faces because so many people were calling them out. And you saw, like, if you just had searched Xbox Live about 12 hours ago, you would have seen just a massive amount of people shitting on Xbox and saying, well, I guess I'm going to PlayStation. That makes it pretty easy. And like Mark said before, even for free-to-play games, you required this Xbox Live Gold to even play free-to-play games.
Yeah, which is where Sony had one up on them. So if a kid just wanted to play Fortnite and nothing but Fortnite, which sadly there's a lot of kids out there that's kind of their deal, they would be stupid to get an Xbox over a PS4 like last generation, because that's the one that, like, Fortnite goes from being a free game to being a game that costs them $60 a year to play. So, like, I don't know. It's
this just continues to show how out of touch Xbox always is. This is why they're so far behind with Sony. They just always make stupid decisions. They make tone deaf decisions. And yes, look, they deserve credit for correcting it. They do, but the decision, who thought this would be a good decision to begin with? This is a fucking terrible decision. This is awful. And yeah, I'm like Ryan. I was ready when I heard this. I'm like, holy shit, we're gonna rip them apart for this, and they backed off of it. But like Mark said, I mean, if you look at the PlayStation, you look at the Switch, they both have paid for subscriptions, but they don't require you to have those to play these free to play games. And Xbox continues to be out of touch with a lot of things. I still believe.
Does Nintendo actually? I'm not like. Does anyone play Fortnite or something on Switch?
Yeah, you don't have to have it for Nintendo to play Fortnite. But or any free to play games, to my knowledge. Yeah, with Xbox, I mean, and I've continued to say this is a big problem for them, and it is a big problem for them. And the naming is so stupid for these systems, and it just continues to show their bad decision making. Like, these are things you need simplicity for the general gamers, the general public, to follow your stuff. The Xbox naming thing is confusing, and their decision making from a corporate level is very confusing to me on everything they do. And this was as bad as of a decision I've seen in a long time. And it speaks volumes to how bad it was because of how quickly they responded. And to the point Ryan was making and Mark was making, this is the whole thing. Every time gamers complain, fans complain, you have the mainstream media and everybody saying, oh, these entitled gamers, they're just toxic. And this is what happens when enough people speak up. People have the power if enough voices are willing to speak up and hold these fucking companies accountable for their bullshit. This is why people need to rally together more. So kudos to the gamers out there that rose up and let these fucking idiots know that this was such a terrible decision. This is what matters. Fans' voices matter. And the more fans stick together for the common goal of holding these companies accountable, the more we're going to benefit in the future.
If it had been reversed, do you think if it was PlayStation and Sony that made the bad decision, do you think they would have backtracked on it?
Probably not.
I don't think so.
I don't think so, but I don't think that they would have made this all-time bad of a decision. I mean, look, Sony's done some stupid stuff. I understand that, and they've got a lot of problems. But this is a big problem.
See,
Sorry, go ahead, Ryan.
I was going to say I don't think this is actually a scenario with Microsoft being out of touch or whatever. I think that I think this just like took off, where they've probably done a lot of things like this that are very anti-consumer, anti-gamer, and a couple people complain, and then it gets, whatever, tossed by the wayside. But every once in a while, you see these huge things that pick up traction and take off, and they're kind of forced to address it when they're just hoping it'll slide under the radar like a million other things they've done. And so I think that it's more they knew what they were doing. This was like trying to very subversively try to force people to get Game Pass. Because like Mark has said many times, that is their standard now. They want people subscribed to Game Pass. That is the future for Microsoft. So I think they just got caught a little bit, and you probably see 10 things that happen like this every day that no one really complains about, but this one just took off and went viral.
Well, part of the things that made it really scummy too is in the statement they mentioned the $1 extra a month and the $5 for 3 months, but they did not mention that, oh, and by the way, now if you want a year, it's double the price, by the way. But I think it ties back to sort of the topic of that op-ed video on Game Pass that I made, saying that the biggest thing that Microsoft needs to figure out how to do is how to market Game Pass, like how to actually get the message out about why Game Pass is a worthwhile service. And I think this was a really botched attempt to do that, because I think they were trying to make it that they were trying to make it so that people would look at how much they're spending on Xbox Live Gold every month and then just be like, oh, for an extra $2 I could, or whatever it would be a month, I could get Game Pass Ultimate and then have like 200 extra games to play. And I think they should have done that by lowering the price of Game Pass and then maybe done the boiled frogs thing where like you raise it by like $1 or so every 6 months until it's up to where you want it to be. But I don't think they did it well here.
Well, I think their marketing should. I mean, again, Game Pass is fantastic, and Mark has been, telling us that for a long time now. But again, the way you market the products that you have is to make it easily accessible for your consumer. Their naming is fucking terrible, and it's a problem. I will die on this hill because it's fucking stupid. Xbox Series X, Xbox One X, Xbox One S. It's just. Nobody knows. Generally speaking, people don't know what the fuck to buy. Yeah, the people like us know, but that's not who the market is going to like PlayStation 4. Hey, there's the next one. It's called a PlayStation 5. It's pretty fucking easy to understand what that means.